Wake up, everybody! Welcome to Navy SEAL Blog Talk Radio. I'm your host, David Rutherford. As a behavioral training specialist, motivational speaker, author, and life coach, my mission in life is to help you discover the behavioral truths behind what it takes for you to succeed in any environment imaginable. So stand by and let me help you embrace your fears, forge your self-confidence, and learn to live the team life. Hoo-yah! All right. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. All right, everybody, I know you've gone out and you've ran your 5 miles. You've done your 100 air squats. You've done your 200 burpees. You've got your huge cup of joe. Your family's up. They're rousted. Everybody is out having a ball right now. Everybody out is you guys have pushed yourself all week. You've confronted all the hardship in your life. You're good to go. You feel, just totally filled inside. You feel like there's nothing that can stop you. And because the fact is, you're above dirt, folks. You know that it is a glorious day to be alive. And this is really the greatest feeling that you can feel because you got that hoo-yah in you. You got the hoo-yah, aha feeling going. And that is awesome, folks, because that is the amazing thing that even though we go through the negative insurgency in life, and even though we have these deep wounds in our lives, we have these scars that are covering our souls and covering our bodies with these traumatic experiences of life, we realize that the imperfections of our past, the negative scars, they are the life lessons that shape our soul. They are the life lessons, the experience that represent the perfections of our perseverance. And that's a powerful thing, folks, because these scars are victories. These scars are things that have made you better. They have made you who you are right now, where we are today as you're listening to this show. Those scars, those wounds, those things that you thought at one time that you would never make it, you'd never heal from, they are the beautiful aspects of who your character is. They are the testament to your survival in living with PTSD. So if that's you, folks, I can't even begin to say how much I am proud of you, how much I applaud you in your efforts to endure the hardships of life, to endure these traumatic events and make them positive in your life, to turn these negative scars into positive scars. And folks, that's what this show is all about. So let me get a hoo-yah to everybody that's out there, right? Hoo-yah! Because today's show, we're talking about the positive scars in your life, not the negative. We're talking about PTSD and how if you treat it and how you address it and how you overcome it, you can learn to be one of the strongest people on the planet because you have learned to endure. You're a survivor. And you're not allowing these horrible events, these horrible things of your life to get the better of you. You are taking hold of all the possibilities in your life, of all the opportunities, all the programs that are out there, all the incredible teammates that you have, the swim buddies who love you so much, that want to just shower you with their love and their help in order for you to deal with these and turn those negative scars into positive. So, folks, that's what today's show is about. It's going to be an absolutely phenomenal show. So what we're going to do in typical fashion here on Navy SEAL Blog Talk Radio with your host, David Rutherford, all right? In typical fashion that we go about things, we're going to start out and we're going to define what positive scarring means, all right? And we're not going to do it from Wikipedia or from any other website. We're going to do it from what the Froglogic concept definition is of positive scarring. And then we're going to skip ahead because we've got some special things coming up later. We're going to skip ahead to how Navy SEALs embrace their scars of combat, how Navy SEALs cope with this thing at the best level, in the finest format, right? The guys that have learned to deal with these things, who have reached out to their teammates and the people around them, who have really cultivated this ability to turn their negative scars into positive scars, how they do it. Then we're going to quickly get into the Froglogic concept on 4 concepts that can help you turn your negative scars into positive scars. Then I can't even tell you how fired up I am. And we're going to have some special guest callers in today that will just blow you away. So I'm not going to, wait, get rid of, release the secret, if you will, on who's going to call in, because these are big callers. I want you all to be excited. I want you to tune. I want you to be on the tip of your seat or your chair or on your bike or wherever you're listening to this podcast now, and I want you to just get fired up for it. Okay, so let's get started, shall we? Here we go. My definition of positive scars, all right? Ready? Positive scars. The external and internal wounds suffered from a traumatic physical, mental, and spiritual experience, which enhances your ability to face the perpetual challenges of life. Now, think about that, folks. Think about it. These scars are things that they're external, they're internal, right? They're scars that you can physically see, whether you've been beaten or blown up in some capacity. That's the physical scars. The mental scars that have shifted the way you look at life, right? Shifted the way you address how you confront things with problems, or how you address what possibly could happen tomorrow or the next day, right? And then the spiritual scars, because I guarantee everybody out there that's been in one of these challenging situations, that's suffering through something that maybe they never imagined their wildest dreams that they would ever go through, every now and then might think to themselves, hey, why is God doing this to me? What did I do to deserve this? So you have that emotional check, that spiritual check, right? That soulful check on why it's happening. But folks, these things, once you make it past the trauma and you learn to deal with it, with the programs, with the treatment, with the counseling, with all these amazing things that are out there, all these really positive ideas and concepts that are at your fingertips, or at your disposal to help you endure this PTSD, how you embrace that and then translate it into action, translate it into a beautiful life above dirt, translated into a gift in your mind, man, that is a positive scar. So that's my definition, and I hope that helps you. I hope that gives you an idea. You probably have thought about the possibility of that in your life before, but the challenge is when you're going through the suck, and you're getting hammered, and you're really being, beaten down, it's tough to wash away, to move those, to spread those clouds of despair away in your life. It is. I know that. That's why we have to have the team around us that can just reach through that storm and yank us and pull us out of it. And we have to make ourselves available to that. And we'll talk about that here in a second with the Froglogic concept, right? So that's something you want to think about, folks, life will perpetually be challenging. I'm telling you, I hate to break it to you all, you guys out there, but you know this, I think, that life is always going to be hard. There's always something coming down the road tomorrow, the next day, the day after that. But guess what? Who cares? Because you can endure. You can make it through. I know you can. I have faith in you. I have faith in the fact that you want to. That nobody wants to live in this abyss of hopelessness or depression or where you feel as like you're insane in a minute. No, we all want to be normal. We all, whatever normal is, right? Especially people who watch me on this show, they're like, you're not normal at all. And I welcome that, embrace that. But you know what I mean, that consistency of your life, the place where you can function in a higher level, and you can succeed, and you can follow and achieve your dreams, right? Because that's really what PTSD does, is it inhibits our dreams. Well, guess what, folks? We're not going to allow that to happen anymore, because we're going to get hold of these negative scars. We're going to turn it around in our brains and in our hearts and in our minds and our bodies, and we're going to look at these imperfections, these things that are on our bodies and in our souls, and we're going to say, no, these are badges of honor. These things make me better. They make me stronger. Because look at what I came through. Look at this unbelievable event that I made it through, that I endured, that I overcame, and I'm here today, and I'm here now to share with you that they will make you stronger if you just put that in your head. Now, one of the big things I always get, right, across the board and everywhere I go, whether I'm doing motivational speaking events all around the country for corporations, from Fortune 100 companies to mom and pop to colleges to high schools, whoever I'm speaking to, I always get these questions like, guess what, Rut? What do I do? How do Navy SEALs handle this particular situation? Well, let me tell you. So Navy SEALs, yeah, we have a certain thing called stress conditioning that is a part of our training. Now, if you really want to learn more about this, I highly recommend you look up a guy named Dr. Charles Morgan from Yale University. And he did this amazing study a bunch of years back where he studied Green Berets going through SEER school, which is Search, Escape, Rescue, and Evasion school. It's a great school that you go through. And he studied them biologically, physiologically, cognitively, psychologically, studied them across the board, and found that Green Berets were able to perform at a much higher level cognitively, emotionally, and physiologically than regular people going through SEER school. And that was because of their stress conditioning, because of the training associated with, going through selection or becoming a Ranger or becoming a Navy SEAL. All of these things where you train yourself to perform at a higher aptitude under stress, that's called stress conditioning. And some of the findings that he found were remarkable. So I highly recommend everybody go out. There's another study that the Scripps Institute out in San Diego performed a while ago where they did the same thing on a much smaller level with Navy SEALs and civilians and why, and they asked them a bunch of these questions and just how we approach problem solving under stress is much different. So that stress conditioning is integrated from the time we start training all the way through as we get into combat and we go through those things, and we're prepared for that. Now the challenge is, of course, with everybody when you go through these traumatic events is with the aftermath and what happens. So what I always talk to with all these guys, and by no means am I a combat expert, right? I did a couple ops back in the day, long time ago, but I have friends out there that have done 200-300 combat operations in Iraq and Afghanistan. These people who have been in 7-8 hour gun battles with the enemy, who have seen their friends die in their arms and get blown up next to them. And I talk to what do you do? How do you endure? How do you deal with this stuff? And the one thing is true amongst all of us is the fact is, hey, we PT. We physically train all the time, and that PT is a substantial part of what you do every day. So folks, when you're struggling, man, go out and go for a run. When you're at that point where you need to do something, go get on a paddleboard and go paddleboard across the lake, or go hiking through the woods or something, because there's something really amazing about enhancing your physical prowess that allows your mental and spiritual side, right? The Froglogic triad, the body, the mind, and the spirit, that allows that to become harmoniously intact, right? That to create a homeostasis or a true balance between those three things. Now that's key. So PT is a big one, an absolute big one. And so what I want, it's funny, I had a caller right now. It's a little bit early on the show. We'll hold off on that. So, that is a big deal, right? On how to deal with things. So another thing that SEALs do is they literally, they basically learn new things every single day. They learn new things, how to function, they're constantly reading and engaging in new ideas across the board. I mean, they have this insatiable appetite for new ideas and to really test our ability mentally. Well, that exercising our brains really enhances our ability to cope with other things, because it creates hope. It creates a long-term, a growth that's a part of life, right? My old man, who's been saying this since I can remember, hey, son, we learn something new every day, and I love that about him. It's just awesome. And that's the way we approach it, because when you're forging, you're forging your mind just like you would your body, you're enhancing that intestinal fortitude and your coping mechanisms in order to deal with the trauma of your life, okay? So that's another one. And then really the last thing, and this is especially true, I think, with guys that have been around a while, guys that have been through a lot, guys that have families now, is really they increase their faith, all right? They allow faith to become a huge part of their their operational mindset. And the fact that you can, put yourself out there and have that warmth, that security, that God is looking out for us, God's got our six, that's an important thing, man. It's that constant cornerstone of our lives, right? And that cornerstone is important, and that immovable object of our lives. And that's really what faith can do. Now, it might not be your thing. You might not be a diehard Christian. You might not be a hardcore Jew or Muslim. But you might have spirituality. Well, I say enhance that spirituality, okay? Lift it up and search your soul for what you have faith in, because that will be something that you can ground to, something that when it's shaky and you're getting knocked all over the place left and right and upside and downside and bam, bam, and you're just taking the beating, all of a sudden you can throw that hand back or get that nice triangle going, and all of a sudden you're feeling that faith. Boom, boom. There's that cornerstone. And that'll right you. That'll center you. That'll give you that strength to endure, all right? And from there, you can push off and get back in the fight. You can start bobbing and you can weaving. Because as you get knocked back and you go against those ropes, you'll bounce right back up because faith's going to push you back in the fight. That's how awesome a teammate faith is. All right. So those are really the three things that we want to talk about. Now we're going to jump right into the Froglogic concepts that we can have. And we'll address these a little bit more after we have our guest callers. But we're going to just go through these real quick. So concept one is, folks, scars are cool. Everybody knows scars are cool. Everybody remembers the Lethal Weapon one, where I think it's Lethal Weapon 2, where he's comparing scars, or it's Lethal Weapon 3 maybe, yeah, whatever, with Rene Russo, right? Just awesome. Scars are cool. Why? Because it shows that you've lived a hard life. It shows that you've been around. Now, don't intentionally scar yourself, but what you want to do is embrace the fact that you've lived life, and that's a positive thing, right? Our imperfections are a result of an imperfect past, and that's all right. That's the truth of life. So you just have to realize that nobody's perfect. And if you think you're ever going to be perfect when you've experienced this trauma, you're wrong, because it's the challenge, and it shifts your whole fundamental presence of who you are and what you're doing. So embrace that you have these scars. Be proud of them. Wear them like a badge of honor. All right, the second thing is, concept 2 is, have a plan, folks. You've got to have a plan in life on how you're going to address PTSD. If you're just winging it and waking up, and then next thing you know, when it gets crazy and gets cloudy, you hit that bottle of Jack or you start popping those pills, that is no plan. Because without a clear head and a clear mind, you can't come up with a structured mission planning outline in order for you to figure something out. Now, we're going to post on there, out of my book, Navy SEAL Training, Self-Confidence, we're going to post a mission planning outline for you guys next week on the site. And this is a way that you can fill in the dots and come up with a plan or a profile in order for you to be consistent, to have discipline in your life, and to move forward in facing and trying to combat this PTSD. All right. Concept 3 is accept the right team's help. Now, that's a challenge. A lot of times what we don't want to do is we don't want to accept people's help, especially because we feel like, this is a crack in our armor. PTSD is not a good, we're not as strong as we think we are. Well, get over it. It happened, and it's reality, and nobody's going to look at you and say, what the heck are you talking about? You don't got PTSD, or you're a weakling. Or people are going to offer you help, and they're going to offer you help in a way that you have to be willing to accept it, right? You have to welcome the persistence of the people who love you. You can't push them away. The more you push people away, the more you get distracted on allowing the help to penetrate in, right? As your arms extended in life, that means nothing's going to penetrate through there, even though people are going to try. And I'm telling you what, eventually people are going to stop trying. So you got to allow people to come in. You got to share your story with people and embrace the fact that people love you and want to help you. All right. The last concept, concept 4, is have faith in the ability to forgive. And that's forgiving yourself for whatever happened. That's forgiving others for what happened. Because the longer you carry the burden of trauma, the longer you carry that burden of hate or guilt or anger on you, all that does is inhibit your ability to heal those wounds. Now, let me tell you what, folks. Here's the deal. It is impossible to be positive when you're experiencing negativity. So all of those emotions, all of those things that are just overwhelming you and and getting in your face and just ripping you apart internally and causing those wounds to expand, you need to just let that go. Have forgiveness in your heart, and because life happens. All right, life happens, and it happened to you, and you're not going to change it. It is what it is. So just start moving forward. Forgive yourself. Forgive whatever happened. It doesn't matter. You have to forget what happened. Just forgive and move forward, and don't take that pain with you everywhere you go. Because folks, here's the deal: you have to love the possibility of your future. You have to love the ability, the fact that you're going to be better, that you're going to achieve your dreams, that you're going to make it through this. You're going to endure. You're going to be the best you possibly can be. That is the deal, folks. That is absolutely the deal. So, those are, that's a big thing that a lot of times people that we don't think about in this life. We don't think about the fact that love plays such a huge role in our lives and dealing with this. And I talked a little bit about it on the last show last week, is the fact that when you don't love yourself, folks, it makes it impossible for those wounds to transition into a positive way. So that's a big, 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 big one. All right. So love the possibility of future. All right. All right, so folks, we're gonna jump right into this. I've got these amazing callers coming in right now, and this is the first caller, and I hope everybody's all stoked. So stand by just a second. Hello, Wally, is that you, buddy? All right, awesome. So let me just give you a quick intro, Wally, and just set you up for the talk we're going to have for everybody that's listening right now. So everybody, I want to introduce you to Wally Graves. Now, Wally is a 27-year SEAL in the Naval Special Warfare, and what makes it personal to me is Wally was one of my greatest mentors. He's a guy that taught me how to be a medic, that taught me how to be a frogman. He really is exceptional. I mean, he was my first platoon chief back in Hotel Platoon at SEAL Team 1, which was awesome platoon, by the way. And he taught me so much about being a responsible medic and a compassionate medic, and a person also that can balance the equation between being a warrior and being a healer. And that was really something that was profound. So since in that time while Wally was in, once he got out, he became a part of he basically developed and founded the Family Support Program Manager for the Naval Special Warfare Command. And this is a program that really, was brought on in 2006 when the command started realizing they were struggling and they needed something. And he developed this thing into one of the most sophisticated family services program in all of the military, all of DOD. I mean, it's one of the most renowned programs because he really discovered the possibilities that, the entire component of not only the soldier, the sailor, the airman, Marine, but the family unit as well. And Wally did some really transformational work in that time and really healed a lot of hearts and helped people deal with PTSD as well as some of the other, injuries affiliated with combat. And so Wally just retired recently and is getting ready to start his new consulting program called Swim Buddy Consulting. And it's just going to be an awesome thing. And I'll give you a chance to talk about here in this section. So, Wally, welcome to Navy SEAL Blog Talk Radio. It is such an honor to have you on, bud.
I appreciate it, Dave. And I've been listening to your show, and it really resonates. You're doing a great job, and I'm sure you're helping a lot of vets and folks out there. So I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, Wally. So we're gonna jump right in there because I think right now everybody is so stoked to just hear your ideas, your positive sense of PTSD and how people can deal with this. So the one thing I think we got to cover really quickly though before we get started is this question: is what is the number one reason or the biggest reason why veterans don't seek help?
Well, Dave, that's a good one, and I think our leadership, our country, as much as we push that stigma, I'll just say stigma is the number one thing. It's still there. The reason why guys don't come or girls don't come forward, and even though the VA, the DOD, all our leaders are trying to educate the troops that you need to come forward, and we need to turn our culture that coming forward and saying I need help is a strength. It's a positive. But I think anywhere from your leadership, your mentors, your swim buddy, even your family, if little comments about, hey, that guy's weak, or that guy is not making it, it'll shut that soldier or member down to come to ask for help. So I would say stigma is still the number one cause for people not coming forward. In addition to building trust, you have to find a provider or someone that you really trust that can help you deal with these issues. So I would say stigma is still out there, unfortunately.
Well, it's cool that you brought up that fact, that that's still present. And I remember when I was in, it's always a part of, we're always testing and competing with each other to build that armor, if you will. And I think, leading into what you said at the end there, that the trust. So what I love about, what you're doing, Wally, is that, you've been there, you've done that. And are you finding that when guys would come into, the program or into your office and they saw you and they knew you were a team guy, you were a frogman, you've been there, you've been in combat multiple times, did they feel that trust automatically with you?
I think they do because, you're one of them. So, again, we have hundreds of thousands of providers. So if a guy does, come forward, the provider has to be the right person too. He has to resonate. He has to understand our jargon, our lingo, and, that helps create that bond between the member and that. There's trust, again, is huge, and they'll try to embrace any of these programs, but if that provider or that person that they're coming into doesn't create that connection, that's going to turn them off and send them out. So, it's individually on. The weight is on our providers to connect with these guys. So, I think it's all individual. We have great programs out there, but again, we have a lot of great programs, a lot of money, a lot of effort is putting forward. But again, if that one provider, they don't click with that member, it's not, he's going to shut down and he's going to go away.
All right, so I'm glad you started talking about a little bit about programs. So what are the best programs that you have seen work for the individual, for the guy that's struggling or the girl that's really struggling with PTSD? They're in the storm, so to speak. What are the ways that you can shake that cycle of depression or shake that cycle of trauma that really kind of brings them out and gets them some clarity that can get them going in the right direction? What have you seen work?
Again, there's a ton of effort out there. Again, it comes back to that member connecting with the provider. And on top of that, I think the best programs are the peer-to-peer mentoring or the groups that, these guys, whether you're a TBI, a wounded warrior, or this or that, they want to hang around more likes. They want to be around people like them. So the peer group sessions that they come together, so you have this great leader that brings a couple of the folks together, so they're all in it together. So I would say the group sessions that, even through the VA or any of the workshops, that they can come together and they can also connect with their peers that have been through the same that they have. They've walked the same walk together. Does that?
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome, and I actually have experienced that, myself. I went to Outward Bound program in North Carolina Outward Bound. I'll talk a little bit here at the end of the show about this, and it was a bunch of veterans that were around going through the woods and doing rock climbing, and it was really, these young kind of outdoor specialist therapists that were the instructors. They understood the right questions to ask, but it wasn't about them eliciting response for them in particular, but it was about getting our interaction going and that peer-to-peer and how it can just unnaturally unfold within that arena. So I love that, man. I think, go ahead.
I wouldn't say it's any specific program. There's stuff called Focus Project that's all around DOD and different bases, and that's a wonderful program. So one, you have to have a provider that you connect with that resonates. He knows our lingo, he knows our walk, he has a good historical background of what we do, and he resonates. Two, you also combine it with peers. You do the peer workshops. And three, you have to include the family. The family's got to be a part of this resolution because there's so many secondary traumas that are going on. When that member comes home, it's typically the family that comes forward first because of their destructive behavior. So you got to have a great provider that's resonating. You got to have your peer support group, and you have to have your family included. And that would make a great program.
Well, I'm super fired up that you just started talking about family because, I've seen this myself, and I've gotten a lot of hits from, questions from the internet and from family members that are dealing with this and is trouble, really struggling with guys out there that are really in the dark places, so to speak. And they're all asking me, what do we do? How do we initiate contact? What, is there a specific program that we pull into, that we use? Is there an intervention format, if you will, or what is the best approach? So I want to bring that up to you, Wally, is what is the best thing for families to do in order to get that person suffering from PTSD engaged in an effective program?
Well, that's the magic question, because I don't know how many spouses have come to me saying, hey, what do I do? They're loyal to their husband, and they feel like they're cheating on them by coming to the command or someone in uniform, a psychologist or a friend or something like that. So they're really worried about that, but they're concerned. So it's just like counseling for couples counseling. It's typically the wife is dragging the guy in by the ear at the 11th hour when they finally had enough of the destructive behavior. So I would tell the spouses to keep moving forward. You have to go. You're not breaking your trust with your husband. You're helping him. So maybe it's his battle buddy, his swim buddy. You talk to his chief. You talk to someone in his platoon, someone that you can talk to. You talk to the group psychologist, and you figure out a plan. Then again, it still relies on that individual to want to say, hey, I need help too. And that's sort of the bad area that our families are stuck in, between getting him to come to realize that he wants help, he wants to change, he wants to improve, and two, breaking, they're dealing with this trust with their loved one, It's the hardest thing for them to do, but, at some point there's a breaking point that they're like, I can't worry about that anymore. We need to help our families, getting destroyed. That makes sense.
Right on. Well, that's great advice, Wally, and I think it is scary for all those. I've talked with a lot of family members who are just it's exactly that. We don't want to go against or feel like we're being subversive to the veteran we're supporting. We don't want to expose any weakness and ruin their own perception of themselves or the perception of them within their unit. And I think it's the greater we can empower those family members and say, listen, no, it's you have to take hold. You have to take direct action in order seeking help for your people. And so it's just I think it's such a critical aspect. I'm glad you brought that up. All right, so let's get in with the final question here before we just let you talk a little bit about what you're doing here. And in your expert opinion, are there a group of components, or is it like 3 things they need to do, or 2 things, or what is the kind of a consensus that will get people with PTSD moving in the right direction? What are the components? And you talked, I think, a little bit about it in the past, but in your expert opinion, what are those components that will get people moving forward?
Well, Rut, I was listening to the beginning of your talk show, and it's funny. I think you're spot on, and you're stealing some of my thunder. But what I would say is there's 3 things for this. Is that first off, you got to take sleep seriously. Sleep is like the underlying issue, whether it's PTSD, TBI, or a lot of that. So really get into your sleep hygiene. Learn it, get it under control. This allows your brain to reset at night. You need that. So sleep, number 1. Number 2, you have to avoid embracing this disorder as an identity. Unfortunately, we have 4 or 5 times the amount of PTSD rates as in Britain. And I think that culturally we've lionized it, but the good news about PTSD, it can be transitory. You can spend some time on learning how to deal with it and live with it, and you can overcome it and you can control it. So avoid embracing the disorder as an identity. And number 3, what you hit upon is physical fitness. I think that's what's kept the numbers lower and soft overall, is the ability of exercise and being physically fit. And it comes back to what we were saying about, we all like to hang around likes. Wounded warriors like to hang around wounded warriors. So pick a good group and do exercise. Get out with some of your friends, your mentors, even your family, and stay physically fit. I think those are the 3 things. And what's good about all 3 of these are none of these require medications, and they're all self-administered. So, there's a lot you can do on your own to help get a handle on this problem.
Awesome. Wally, those are just phenomenal. And what we're going to do, folks, is I'm going to have a Wally's bio on my website here next week in a blog entry at teamfroglogic.com. So you'll be able to not only see what Wally's answers but you'll also be able to reach out and find out more about Wally. So Wally, while we're talking about that, what are you doing right now? What is your mission now that you're no longer, working directly for the Naval Special Warfare? What are your goals, and what do you hope to achieve in the next few years?
When you get back to the programs that are out there, when you go to a therapist, once a month and you talk for 45 minutes, and then you come back, a month later, what we want to target on in our program, I'm working with a psychiatrist, Dr. Mark Meldon, and he's with Crownview Medical Group. And we have a lot of these resources that we can combine to help build our program. But what we're looking at is the homework phase, It's the individualization to these members and their families. So we're looking at the warrior as a whole in a comprehensive program. It's multidiscipline. It's beginning with self-regulation, learning emotional regulation. It's teaching relationships, how to build trust and intimacy with your partner, as well as we move into learning how to set family visions. Between back-to-back deployments, you don't have a lot of time. So we're just throwing out skills to help these members and their families develop healthy, positive coping skills to help navigate through these times and these issues. So even after family, so you work on self-regulation. Next, you work on intimacy in your relationship. 3, you work on your family. 4, we work on your health, not only physical but nutritional health. There's a lot of foods and how you eat can help make you stronger. Next is work. That has to do with finances, transitioning. And the last is community. Are you involved in your community? And that's with spirituality, that's benevolence, it's your hobbies. There's a golden triad between home, work, and your neighborhood. Embrace that. And so it's all based on evidence-based programs, but we're just putting it together in this holistic, comprehensive package. And we're excited about that. And we look to start actually rolling it out here in January, February.
Oh, man, that's Wally, I can't even tell you. That just sounds awesome. It sounds like the exact program that needs to be available to people on, because as you know, I mean, these statistics that we're seeing right now around the country and they fluctuate here and there a little bit, but, the last I read was 22 kids or I shouldn't say kids, they're not kids, but 22 people a day committing suicide, plus the hundreds of thousands of more dealing with this. And, and I think we are in a different time or a different age. We do have a different culture. So when I hear you creating a program that's as comprehensive, and I love the triad concept, I love that ability to really understand that it's the totality of our existence that really, you have to focus on when healing, with dealing with these deep internal problems. Dude, it overwhelms me with joy, and I'm just so fired up, Wally. I really know that you're going to be successful. I believe it in my heart. And buddy, what we're going to do is we're going to get you back on the air in January, February when you guys are up and running, and we're going to do an entire show about your program, about Swim Buddy Consulting, and really just get you out there on at the next level, buddy. So I want to say thank you for coming on the show, and thank you for sharing with all our listeners. It was a huge impact.
I want to say I appreciate it, Rut, and I want to leave your listeners with one thing. If they are struggling with PTSD, we need to change our view culturally as Americans that PTSD is transitory. Viktor Frankl, the survivor of the Holocaust, had a great quote that one of the greatest strengths of human freedom is the ability to choose your attitude in a given set of circumstances. So you can take a positive, and you were hitting on it earlier about taking those scars and making them positive badges of honor. But the point is it's transitory. You can overcome this and move out smartly. And I appreciate it, Dave, and I think you're doing a lot of great stuff.
Thanks, brother. It's just awesome to hear your voice again. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, Wally Graves. Thanks, Wally. Have a great day, buddy. Bye-bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we're going to get our next caller on right now, and this is another amazing caller. This is somebody that means the world to me, somebody that is really going to inspire all of you. So let me give you, Stacy, are you there? Are you on the line?
Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm here.
Okay, awesome. So she's there. Now I'm all fired up. Okay, all right. So let me just first introduce you, Stacy, because you need an introduction. People need to understand that you are the superwoman of our community, that you are the woman that knows the deal, and I just want to set you up in the right way. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've been friends with Stacy for, we're coming up on 17 or 18 years. I first met Stacy when I was going through training back out in Coronado. She was the platoon leader, if you will, of all us young frogmen, and just an awesome friend and just inspiring to all of us. And so we became friends. And then all of a sudden she met this amazing guy, Jason Freewall. They got married, the storybook romance, and became just passionate and really amazing people. And Jason was a young guy in the teams at me, and he moved up the ranks and really a stellar performer. He ended up going over to SEAL Team 6 in mid-2000s. And Jason, unfortunately, perished on the battlefield in September 11th in 2008. And left Stacy as a widow, a young widow with a young daughter, and really kind of in the prime of their lives, so to speak. But Stacy, it didn't destroy Stacy. She came through, she worked through it, and she started still working through it. She developed all these amazing things we're going to talk about here, overcome. And then unfortunately, for the second time, folks, last year on September 11th, another close friend of ours, in particular a very close friend to Stacy, Mr. Glenn Doherty, died in Benghazi, serving with the Central Intelligence Agency. And now the kicker to this story, folks, is that Glenn Doherty, who died on September 11th, introduced Stacy to Jason Freewall, who also died on September 11th. So Stacy understands what this show is all about. She's gone through it, and she's coming out the other end. So Stacy, first and foremost, I just want to, from me and my heart, and especially from all of our listeners, just want to thank you. Thank you for being the woman you are. Thank you for the sacrifices you've made, and thank you for teaching us how to endure and giving us hope that we can make it through this. So I'm so excited to have you on. How you doing?
I'm doing great, and you're welcome, and thank you, because you've honestly helped me to get to the place that I'm at right now. It wouldn't be possible without you and your support and love. You're awesome.
Well, thank you very much, Stacy. It's just, I can't tell you, man. This show has just gotten me fired up all week. I'm all excited to have Wally, my mentor, on, and then have you, one of my closest friends, on, and just to talk about the positivity of dealing with all of this. So let's just jump right in, because I know everybody out there that's listening wants to know how Superwoman deals with all of this. How you have been able to. How you've been able to endure. So the first question I want to ask you is, how long did it take to realize that you needed to become proactive in your battle against PTSD?
Well, it took about 3 years for me to become proactive. I kind of woke up one day and realized I spent 3 years of my life being sad and depressed, and you can't get that time back. So I decided I was going to do something to change my life. I was going to start fighting to change my life, to make it better, to turn it back into what it used to be. So it took about 3 years.
Wow. So 3 years, and then all of a sudden you felt like, I like that you use the term to fight, to get back in. Is this a fight that we're in on a regular basis?
It absolutely is a fight, and I still fight to this very day. And some days I fight harder than others, and it's a fight to get your life back. It's a fight to live at the level that you know that you can live.
Well, I mean, that's awesome. So what was the first thing that you did in this, and when you realized all of a sudden you had this moment, which is awesome. I like to call them the epiphanies of life, right? The transformational moments that get us going in the right direction. What was the first thing you did that truly made you feel like you were healing?
Well, the main thing that I did was, as the 3-year anniversary of Jason's death was rolling around, and the 10-year anniversary of the original 9/11, I realized that it would be better for me to be doing something positive on a day. I mean, it's like the worst thing. It's like a triple, it's like a triple trauma for me now. And I just felt like it would be better if I was doing something productive on that day. You can't run away from that day, but it's going to suck if you're just doing nothing. So I decided to train for something that was amazing that wouldn't get me killed, and I decided to climb a non-technical mountain, Mount Kilimanjaro.
Awesome. Now, out of all the mountains in the world, how'd you pick the Mount Kilimanjaro?
Well, I picked it because it was a mountain I could climb around 9/11, and also that it was non-technical. I felt like being a single mom, it wasn't responsible to be hanging off the side of the mountain in carabiners and clips and things. So I decided that I would climb something non-technical, and so that's how I picked it. And it was a good experience because it was the first time in 3 years that I actually, picked a goal, trained for it, and completed it.
Now, I mean, that's just a remarkable. I mean, it's not like all of a sudden you said, okay, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna stop visiting the gravesite and I'm just gonna try and have a positive day. You actually were like, no, I'm gonna get on a plane. I'm gonna fly to Africa. I'm gonna climb a mountain, get on the top, raise my hands, and feel better. I mean, that's an impressive decision you made. Were you afraid to get in that level of fight?
No, I wasn't. I actually, it gave me purpose. It gave me something to live for. Every day I was training. I was wearing a 30-pound weighted vest, doing 2 hours of cardio, and it gave me something to live for, something to focus on. And I wasn't afraid to climb a mountain. I just kind of imagined what it would be like. And I actually went to Africa for a whole month because I figured if I was going over there, I wanted to see a lot of things because I may not be able to get back over there again. So the whole experience was amazing. It was, I went there basically by myself. I went for 2 weeks with a girlfriend to Kenya, and then after that I basically went to Tanzania by myself, met up with a group of climbers I didn't know, and climbed this mountain, and it was amazing. It was a life-transforming experience because we all think we have problems, but then you see someone else's problems, and it makes you think that your problems aren't that bad. I was watching the Maasai. Yeah, I was watching Maasai walk down the freeway with barrels of water on their heads for 30, 50 miles, and I thought, wow, my life's not that bad. It was one of the most important things I've ever done in my life.
Wow, it's just that's just an amazing thing that all of a sudden you said this can happen and you could change it so radically. And so what would you say, what is one of your best tactics in order to fight the bad times? So, you said that they're still reoccurring and they still come back, which I think is true for most people, until you can get to that point like Wally was talking about where you can really, effectively cope with those dark times. What is one of your best tactics that you use when those kind of clouds darken over your head?
Well, one of the things I did was Mount Kilimanjaro, and then subsequently we had the English Channel relay attempt, is create situations where you feel fear in a positive way, where it is your choice. You create, control, and confront the fear. It's not in someone else's hand. It's not something that just happened to you. You learn to confront fear in a healthy way. That's one of the things. And one of the other important things I did was I created a Samurai Sword Council, which is a council, and you are the chief of the Samurai Sword Council. It's a council of, amazing people that have either been in your life or come into your life, that you stack this council with people that can help you through your journey, and support you and get it. and take you to the next level. And, it's true what they say. When the student is ready to teach your peers, people are going to come into your life to help you through the next stage of your journey. And I think it's important to have a healthy group of individuals around you that know what you're going through and can help you through it.
I know that's amazing. I love how you talk about it. I mean, we, at Froglogic, one of our biggest focuses is to help people embrace that fear, utilize it to inspire them to be better, and then also to live that team life that you're talking about. But the challenge is, right, when we're in these traumatic moments and we're, it's getting the best of our logical or clear minds or whatever, we all of a sudden we want to push people away, right? We want to push them out of here. So, what is your, what advice do you have for, women that are widows that have lost loved ones or have gone through, or anybody, really anybody that's suffering from PTSD? What advice do you have them to allow them to have a team approach them, to be approachable, to embrace what you're talking about?
Well, one of the things you have to do is when you're going through a situation like PTSD, it's almost like your life is on hold, and you can't be consistent in any area of your life. So you can't have normal relationships. You're not having a normal situation at work. It really it's like you're stuck. And so I think one of the most important things is when you're feeling stuck, just focus on a few of the most important things. Like if I'm kind of like in a funk, like I like to go my proverbial bat cage from time to time, my bat cave. and what I do is, like, when I'm feeling these moments, I just simplify my life. I go, I need to work out, because if I get out of shape or gain weight, I'm going to be even more depressed. Yeah, PT. I need to take care of my kid. And if you have school or work, of course you need to go to work, and then make sure you get really, really good sleep. Sometimes you have to simplify your life. When you're feeling overwhelmed by everything, you have to scale back and simplify it, and only give yourself 3 or 4 things that are must-dos. Like, cut out all the rest until you're feeling more able to confront all the things that are in your life. Yeah, managing it. Like, sometimes you have to scale back. You have so much going on. Don't overschedule yourself or feel like you have to go to every event. When you're feeling like you're kind of about to go into your bat cave, you want to kind of scale down, simplify life, and just do the things that are healthy.
That's just awesome advice, and just thank you for sharing that with everybody. And I want to just kind of touch real quick that you had talked about that, after you climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, the second thing you did was you were on a team that attempted to swim the English Channel, and I know it wasn't a successful swim, but I want everybody to realize that when Stacy agreed to jump on this team that was sponsored by the Travis Manion Foundation, she wasn't a swimmer. In fact, she wasn't a very good swimmer at all, and so within a 6-month period, before you know it, in the middle of the night, Stacy jumps in the English Channel to begin her leg. So the distance she traveled from that was exceptional. And it was really, I think, as being a part of this team that the Travis Manion Foundation created. So could you talk a little bit about that experience and what the Travis Manion Foundation has done for you?
Well, the Travis Manion Foundation is awesome. They're kind of, what they do is they give challenge grants to surviving families and spouses, and their whole goal is to honor the fallen by challenging the living. And so they supported us on our English Channel relay swim, and I was asked to put together a team of widows or SEAL widows to swim across the English Channel, and most SEALs don't want to swim across the English Channel.
I know I wouldn't.
When I asked people to be part of this team, people are like, this is crazy. Is this really real? And so I had 2 women that wanted to swim, and the guy Brad Rhinelander, that asked me to set up the team, I went to him, I said, I have 3 people to swim. I told him the 2, and then he said, who's the other one? And I was like, it's me. He's like, Stacy, you're in swim lessons. I said, don't worry, I'll do this. And so I started swimming. I went from 30 minutes once a week to 60 to 2 hours a day swimming. And, I think I need like 5 or 6 more years to become a good enough swimmer to do something like that, in all honesty. But I jumped in the middle of the English Channel at midnight, which is probably either a total genius move or a total crazy person.
I think it's genius. I think it was the smartest thing you've ever done in your life. It was awesome, man. It inspired me. I know that for sure.
I wasn't successful. We weren't successful, but the one thing that I went on a climb with 12 other surviving spouses that Travis Banyan Foundation sent us on in August to Colorado. And one of the things that Amy Looney, who's on my team, said, we both said that we were happiest when we were training for the English Channel. That's when we were happiest in our lives. Like when we had something that we were training for, we were scared, and it made us feel alive.
That's awesome. Well, Stacy, I just want to say, thank you so much. And you know what we can do is once you come up with your next adventure, your next great challenge, and I know it's going to come up within the next few weeks. I know I can feel it, that there's something brewing in that noodle of yours. And as soon as we get to that, we'll announce it on air. And then once you go through it and you accomplish this great feat or whatever you test, we're going to get you back on the air. And we're just going to talk more about the process of healing and dealing with PTSD and really taking hold of your life and defining who you are, what you are, and what your future is going to look like. How's that sound?
Awesome. It sounds awesome. I would be delighted to be back on your radio show.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Stacy, thank you so much, sweetie. I love you to death. And
thank
just,
you.
it's
love
been,
you too.
Have a great weekend. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Okay. Love you. Bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So those are two of the most impressive people that you could ever think about having on Navy SEAL Blog Talk Radio to talk about PTSD. Wally Graves, who I said I'll have his bio on my website, and I'll have some ideas where you can contact him, and then we'll stay tuned for Stacy's next adventure. So I want to ask hey Billy, do we have any questions on Twitter right now? We do not. Well, I got one right here on from Facebook. So we're going to get this question before we sign off. And this comes from a friend of mine who asked about dealing with traumatic experiences. And one of their friends who is a paramedic type had to deal with trying to save people and couldn't. And they died in front of them, and what that did to them, during the thing, and having to cope with that type of trauma, seeing the end of life, seeing, something really profound in you, and how do you deal with that? I think for me, and I've been in several instances where people have died in my care as a paramedic, and I think for me it was always putting into context, right? That this is part of life, and this is how it did. Now, did it haunt me on many occasions? Absolutely. I still see a young girl from San Antonio, Texas that was in a car wreck, and comes every now and then to me. But I realized that, listen, I did everything I could do. I tried every possible thing I could do in order to help this person and to get them through it and to really, and it's just, things are out of our control. And I think that really is a big part of dealing with PTSD is the recognition that a lot of life is out of our control. But what we can control, as Wally talked about and what Stacy talked about and what I've talked about with the Froglogic concept is that you can control certain things. You can control your ability to seek help. You can control allowing people to help you. You can control your PT every day. You can control your faith. You can control the things that if you just put a little bit of action, a little bit of positivity on those scars and you look at it from a different perspective, folks, you will begin to heal. And that's the key with PTSD, to realize that it's real in your life and that it needs to be addressed, and that if you work hard and you're positive about it, it will heal. It will heal. All right, so folks, this has been an amazing show. I hope everybody out there, I've got some callers that are on. Guys, I'm really sorry I didn't get to your questions. It's just been a fast and furious show with my callers. I want to say, if you guys are interested more about Team Froglogic, just visit our website at teamfroglogic.com. You can listen to my podcast. I'm on every Saturday morning at 0930. I've got a YouTube channel where we've got tons of positive, free, motivational videos for you to brace in your life. I've got a book, Navy SEAL Training, Self-Confidence, with 8 missions to forge your self-confidence. And guess what, folks? Next week, I'm releasing my first audio book based on that book, Navy SEAL Training, Self-Confidence, that you can buy in the web store, on Kobo, Kindle, all over the internet. The audiobook is coming out next week, so don't miss it, folks. You will love it. So last, I want to thank Wally. I want to thank Stacy. I want to thank all the people in my life who've helped me cope with what I've had to go through. In particular, my amazing wife, the Admiral, who's really taken me the farthest through all my pain, all my struggles. Thank you, sweetie. I love you. Without you, I couldn't be where I am today. It means all the world in me. So thank you to all those people. Thank you to you guys listening to the show. It means the difference. I'm David Rutherford, Navy SEAL, behavioral training specialist, motivational speaker, life coach, and it's my job to help you embrace your feels, forge your self-confidence, learn to live the team life. Don't forget, I'm your new swim buddy, so let's get motivated. Ow!